The group Anonymous has been vocal about the current climate of the United States, and one of the most recent things they highlighted is that of the justice system. A recent headline was shared by the group, which stated that private prisons threaten to close unless state or federal officials fill up 300 more beds. One anonymous member pointed their comments towards the current president of the United States, Joe Biden, saying that you're going to see a lot more of these headlines in this current climate, especially because petty crimes like owning pot will draw up those prisons, saying how many of those individuals in those prisons are in there for owning a plant. The other thing that prisons have to deal with is private corporations, so lawsuits and fines are not unheard of. A private prison is also a huge moneymaker, and can offer its services to the government and charge hundreds of dollars per inmate. It's essentially a business. The group also said that there's incentives to fill those private prisons, as they can make a yearly profit of $370 million, with some researchers saying that that number is even higher. These private prisons also cut corners in order to increase profits, so they don't train their employees as much as public facilities, and they also have fewer staff. This bad environment leads to a higher turnover. They also said though that the system is rigged, and they use examples like a New Jersey judge who was caught taking millions of dollars in bribes to jail people, and it's suspected that this was done in order to boost numbers in certain age groups. For example, this judge jailed young people and first offenders. These individuals would normally be given a less harsh sentence, as it was their first time committing an offence. The thing about this is that we know it's happening, and even when the judges are put to trial, they only get a tiny amount of prison time. For example, that judge only got 2 years in prison. One user said the following: "You'd be called an out there theorist if you said that the system was rigged, and that judges are taking millions of dollars worth of bribes under the desk. It sounds like something from a movie, but this type of stuff happens every single day. The messed up thing is that when these people are caught, nothing ever comes of it. How can people do this and get so little time? Yet someone who does a petty crime can get upwards of 5 years in prison. It's all wrong, and this is only the stuff we know about. What else goes on that the people aren't aware of?" End quote. One user said that they should transform these prisons into rehabilitation centres to help those who have been stuck in the prison system. There is currently a discussion around prisons and how they treat people, and whether the model should change in countries such as England and the United States. Those against prisons have said it doesn't fix people, and instead you lock someone up for years and then just release them back into society, saying that most people who end back up in prison are repeat offenders. Many believe that those people who have served their time deserve a second chance, or shouldn't go to prison in the first place. Much of this information was gathered from the Sentencing Project, which goes on to detail the following. The Federal Bureau of Prisons maintains the nation's highest number of people managed by private prison contractors. Since 2000, its use increased 77%, and the number of people in private federal custody, which includes prisons, halfway houses and home confinement, totaled 27,409 in 2019. While a significant historical increase, the population declined 33% since its peak in 2013, likely reflecting the continuing decline of the overall federal prison population." End quote. One user said the following: "In any sane country, having to shut down a prison due to lack of criminals would be seen as a win, but supply creates its own demand." While another said that it's strange that they're almost begging people to do something bad, so that they can get more people inside their prisons. Some people were vocal about the fact that terrible people often get away with some of the worst actions as well, with this individual saying the following: "I know what we're going for here, but there's also a conversation to be had about motives and agendas. Why do some of the worst people get let out of prisons early, for them only to go up there and cause more harm to people? What about those in the public eye that do unspeakable things? only to get minimal time due to their connections. The whole system seems to be flawed, and there's a big conversation that needs to be had about how these places are managed." End quote. Or some said that although there's many people in these prisons that deserve a second chance, or were wrongly accused, what about the people inside these buildings that are genuinely terrible people, and want to do nothing more than cause harm to society? They said that on paper prisons work, and are a good idea to keep people safe, but it's the way you follow through with these rules that makes the difference. The Santa Fe, New Mexican newspaper said the following about the prison that said it was going to close its doors unless it found 300 more people. The company that has operated a private prison for nearly 3 decades has announced it will close the Torrance County Detention Facility and lay off more than 200 employees unless it can find 300 state or federal inmates, saying that they need to fill the empty beds within the next 60 days. The city and the surrounding community have been a great partner to CoreCivic for 27 years. The declining detainee population in general has forced us to make difficult decisions in order to maximize utilization of our resources. The United States Space Force made headlines on the 20th of December 2019, although officials note that there were talks going on way before this. On the 18th of June 2018, the former President of the United States revealed that plans were being put into place to begin a Space Force. This military service would be operating in space and everything that revolves around space. This is the first of its kind, and it got many people asking questions. One being, why do we need a Space Force? If there's no threat beyond Earth, why is this necessary? The United States Space Force said the following on their website. The United States Space Force is a separate and distinct branch of the armed services, organized under the Department of the Air Force, in a manner very similar to how the Marine Corps is organized under the Department of the Navy. End quote. The Space Force's Vice Chief of Space Operations General David Thompson has just said that China is moving at twice the rate of the United States in regards to developing capabilities in space, something that he notes has been raised multiple times. General David Thompson said the following during the Reagan National Defense Forum on the 5th of December 2021. The fact that in essence on average they're building and fielding and updating their space capabilities at twice the rate we are, means that very soon if we don't start accelerating our development and delivery capabilities, they will exceed us. 2030 is not an unreasonable estimate of when China could surpass the US in space capabilities. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin was also very vocal about how quickly China was developing their space fleet, and warned that at this moment in time China and the United States are in direct competition with each other, going on to say the following. We've seen 2 decades of breakneck modernization by the People's Liberation Army, and China's military is on pace to become a peer competitor to the United States in Asia, and eventually around the world. End quote. He said that hopefully this doesn't spill over and mean that there's going to be another conflict, but did note that China has been for the last few years a growing economic powerhouse, and that the United States needs to step up its game if it wants to stay ahead. Other officials also warn that China is everywhere at the moment, and that they're trying to become a global powerhouse, noting that not only have their nuclear arsenal grown massively in the last few years, but their scientists and researchers are making rapid advancements in outer space and cyberspace, with one US official saying that the United States cybersecurity is nothing compared to China's. Nicholas Chalin, who at the time served as Chief Software Officer for the US government and Air Force, revealed on social media that he was stepping down from his position, and said that the United States has no competing fighting chance against China in 15 to 20 years. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin carried on with the following. Now we always assess not just capabilities, but also intentions and actions, and the leaders of the Chinese Communist Party have been increasingly vocal about their dissatisfaction with the prevailing order, and about their aim of displacing America from its global leadership role. They've been seen misusing technology to advance its repressive agenda at home and exporting the tools of autocracy abroad. End quote. Global defense experts have also been vocal about how much Russia and China are expanding their military, with one expert saying that they've never seen this type of expansion before, and that it should be a worry for US officials. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin did say though that the worst outcome here is conflict, and that this has to be avoided, otherwise millions of people could lose their lives. He said the following: "We seek neither confrontation nor conflict, and as President Biden has repeatedly made clear, we are not seeking a new Cold War or a divided world. So yes, we are facing a formidable challenge, but America isn't a country that fears competition, and we're going to meet this one with confidence and resolve, not panic and pessimism." At this moment in time, the US's approach would be one of deterrence, and to prevent conflict, and to establish common sense guardrails. We will always stand ready to prevail in conflict, but America's defense will always be rooted in our resolve to prevent conflict. So we are actively seeking open lines of communication with China's defense leaders, especially in a crisis, and both our diplomats and our militaries. We are taking steps to reduce risk and to prevent miscalculations. End quote. China's current president hasn't been quiet during all of this, saying that China has global ambitions, and is even predicted that by the year 2049, China will be able to fight, win, and take over the United States with ease. President Joe Biden said the following in regards to this message: "China is the only country capable of combining its economic, diplomatic, military, and technological power to mount a sustained challenge to a stable and open international system." Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said though that the United States will always be a powerhouse, and this comes down to the US's connections, saying that the United States has a commitment to countries such as the United Kingdom and Australia. He continued with the following: "We are building on a lesson that I learned over 4 decades in uniform. In war and in peace, we are always stronger when we work together with our friends." End quote. Those on the panel said that these things need to be highlighted, and that it sends a message home to the United States that they may not be as advanced as they think they are. Nicholas Chalian, who was the Chief Software Officer for the US government and Air Force, ended by saying the following: "It's already a done deal. It's already over in my opinion." With one article detailing the following: "China was set to dominate the future of the world, controlling everything from media narratives to geopolitics." This criticism comes after US departments were included in a cyber attack, with those working within the department saying that hackers were trying to get hold of sensitive information, saying that they also attacked UK officials as well. It's suspected that the hackers in question were Russians, although this hasn't been confirmed. So what do you make of this recent announcement? And do you think that China's president predicting that by the year 2049, China will be able to fight, win, and take over the United States with ease is something we should worry about? Be sure to leave your questions and answers in the comment section below, and help us to grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.